We have some big news to go over today as Los Angeles Lakers have made more moves. And following what has been a crazy last few days surrounding moves, they have made yet another one that has fans very intrigued. We're going to break down not only that, but also multiple new Lakers updates surrounding a couple of key players. Stay tuned for all that this episode, folks. Before we get into it all, if you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, your support's been absolutely unbelievable. This is the place to be for daily Lakers content. You guys have been absolute beasts of the support, so thank you guys. It means the world to myself. Folks, a lot to go over today. Let's just dive right into it. The Lakers are in a very unique spot right now. Rob Pelinka is still cooking up a trade, and there's a lot of rumors going around, reports. We saw them waive Shake Milton, waive Jordan Goodwin following what was a bit of a surprising one. And of course, now they have waived yet another player, and that is Trey Jemison. I had a video earlier today discussing some interesting moves that the Lakers have made. They have re-signed, of course, or rather signed Christian Koloko to a two-way deal, also signed another player. We're going to stay tuned to the end of the video to discuss a bit more in depth to a two-way contract. And they had 3 out of 3 of their two-way contract slots filled up. And then out of nowhere, the Lakers announced they were waiving Trey Jemison. The Lakers have requested waivers on two-way center Trey Jemison, 22 games for the Lakers last season, and basically decided to waive him to essentially open up what is a two-way spot for the Lakers, which means another signing is going to be coming. So they have their eye clearly on another two-way player. And if they don't have their eye on him right now, then they will, of course, have their eye on him in the near future, because clearly they didn't, want Trey Jemison. And this all stems from the transactions they made earlier today. You can see this here. Lakers, if you missed the video earlier, they signed 7-footer Christian Koloko and Chris Mannon on two-way deals. And at the time, Trevor Lane came out and said, and they're the Lakers' two-way spots that I was talking about. They now will have Koloko, Mannon, and Jemison occupying those spots. And then guess what, folks? Jemison gets released now, or waived rather. Let me know down below, A, what your thoughts were on Trey Jemison. Did you see any sort of upside there? Did you think that, he warranted a two-way spot? I saw at the time of the, Sham Suite earlier this afternoon, once, of course, they signed Christian Koloko and Chris Mannon, that people were saying that Trey Jemison wasn't deserving of his own two-way spot given his production last year and minimal upside. I tend to agree, and I think this is a good move because you want to get guys into a contracts who have upside, who can actually, play a role. Christian Koloko has upside. He's still very young and has shown abilities. Chris Mannon, a defensive menace who has also shown abilities. Trey Jemison, while interesting, is 25 years old and has never really shown anything at the NBA level besides that one brief stint with Memphis. But last year, he didn't really do a whole lot. And of course, there was a bit of an enforcer, a bit of a character, got some texts, was a really great energy guy. But the Lakers have enough of that now. Like, you look at the depth chart, you have, of course, Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton as your 1-2. Of course, Ayton being the 1 and, Jackson Hayes being the backup, the 2. But you also have Maxi Kleber, a veteran who is now going to slide into your third string center spot. You have no room for another center. It's as simple as that. And to have, 2 more centers on your two-way contracts, like you have Christian Koloko, he can develop. Having Trey Jemison there doesn't make a lot of sense because, of course, the goal of two-way contract, you maybe get some playing time. You're mainly with the G League. There would literally be no scenario where Trey Jemison, knock on wood, would play for this team if he was on the team, because you would have, had to have injuries or something bad happen to Ayton, and then, of course, Hayes, and then Kleber. But then you also have Christian Koloko, who clearly they prefer over Trey Jemison, and guys like a Thiero, guys like, anyone else on the team. Jake LaRavia played the small ball 5, which, won't happen. But it's a very, intriguing move nonetheless, and ultimately a bit sad, if you're a fan of Trey Jemison. Very high energy at times, but at the same time, kind of makes sense, especially given, the limited two-way spots that they have. And it's going to be interesting to see what other moves they make. I don't think Rob Pelinka is done. You look at the updated, the updated offseason roster. You have Doncic, Reaves, LeBron, Rui, and Ayton. And then your current reserves are Vincent, Marcus Smart, Bronny, and Dalton Knecht. And then, of course, you have some of the other guys as well. Going to be interesting to see what happens with, guys like Jake LaRavia, how much he's going to play. He's going to play a lot. Like, I think Jake LaRavia is going to be the 6th or 7th man. But now that, Christian Koloko is gone, it's going to be interesting to, or not Christian Koloko, Trey Jemison is gone. It's going to be interesting to see who they actually get with that other two-way spot, because, something to be said about, interesting things there. Of course, Eric Dixon was one of the other guys. It's going to be intriguing. Now, again, let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on that. But leading into that a little bit more is the Lakers still having their ton of expiring contracts and a lot of picks. You can see this there on the right, their draft assets. They can trade a first-round pick in 2031. They have that first-round pick they can trade. They have their swap rights, 5 in the next 7 years, so they can attach swaps to any deal they make. And they still have their 2032 second now, which they have opened up to be able to be used in a trade. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about these specific assets, because we know the Lakers have a ton of expiring players on the roster, right? Gabe Vincent, Rui Hachimura, and of course, Maxi Kleber. So you look at that, you're thinking, okay, this team can make a move salary-wise to really improve, whether that be a guy like Andrew Wiggins, whether that be Drew Holiday, someone like that. And I think if you're the Lakers right now, like I made a video on earlier, maybe earlier today, you make a swing for a guy like Drew Holiday. You make a swing for somebody similar to that because you are now developing a team that is trying to win a championship. And you get rid of Trey Jemison. Like, obviously, that's not related to the championship, but you get rid of those guys. And fans out there think that, at this point, the Lakers, they still need a legit backup big. I don't think so. I think Hayes is a perfectly fine backup big, and they need a two-way wing. That is absolutely what they need, right? Like, a two-way wing is what would put this team over the top. And there's been a lot of conversations about, should Marcus Smart be in the starting lineup over Austin Reaves? Let me know down below in the comment section what your thoughts are on that. Should they make a big swing for a guy like Herb Jones, Andrew Wiggins? I mean, there's some more names out there. Jeremy Grant, Drew Holiday. How would they fit on this team? It's going to be interesting to see. And I think that at this point in time, Rob Pelinka needs to make one more move around the edges, like a pretty big one, surrounding a wing that would fit this team's structure. And I think they're fine on big men. I think they think they're fine on big men. I also agree. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there because at the end of the day, folks, it's going to be a very unique next few weeks for this team and moves because we've seen a ton of moves go down. A lot of people were hoping for a trade instead of course, a Jordan Goodwin wave. But at the end of the day, they got rid of both Goodwin and Jemison. So we're going to see some new two-way guys, including very newly acquired Chris Manning. Now, I want to touch on Chris Manning a little bit because I touched on him in the video earlier today when they made the signing. He is, like I mentioned in the video in the initial reaction, a good Goodwin proxy, meaning, pretty similar to Jordan Goodwin. He's a guard with good size who can't shoot but plays good defense. One aspect is he has that's different is athletic pop. So the more I've done research on this guy, and I might have a full video covering him in the coming weeks, once transaction news like that dies down, a full deep dive here on this guy. He is an elite defender. And that's something that when you're signing two-way guys and you're trying to win a championship, you want to get guys that if you're going to put them on an NBA team and actually play for the Lakers, he'll have a job. And Chris Manning's job would be to guard, point of attack guy. Is he going to go ahead and be a guy who actually, guards at a high level? I think so, but I don't think he's going to play a lot, right? I don't think they're going to put him out there in clutch games or anything like that. We saw one of his summer league games, 11 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.6 blocks. That's, of course, his average. I mean, at the end of the day, he is a very unique player. He can't shoot the ball very well, but what he can do is play elite defense, and that's something that anybody can use. We saw Jordan Goodwin last year. His calling card was both tenacious defense, but also rebounding the ball. He rebounded very well. He hit some pull-up shots, all these different things, earn himself some extra money. For Chris Manning, if he puts in work in the G League and finds his shot, he could actually be a decent rotation player for an NBA team. And that's, of course, what all these guys are fighting for. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out. Will Bronny James get some minutes? Probably, because of the lack of depth this team currently has. That could, of course, change with the trade, with everybody moving down. But you have Jake LaRavia, you have Gabe Vincent, you have Marcus Smart. Those are kind of, I guess, your three guys. I mean, Gabe Vincent kind of thrown in there. I wouldn't really, he hasn't been very good. Of course, Jackson Hayes is your backup. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all this. But, folks, let me know down below what your thoughts are. You guys are absolute beasts with the support. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys later.